One of Foucault's primary beliefs was that power is constituted through accepted forms of knowledge. He theorized that this leads to a battle for truth. The battle was not about discovering an absolute or a greater truth. Instead, it was focused on the struggle of holding power upon what was commonly believed or accepted as true amongst members of society. Foucault identified the individual's relationship with social order as something we are carefully fabricated in rather than repressed by. The chapter Panopticism within Discipline and Punish explained that part of the power of successful discipline is the role surveillance plays on its hypothetical prisoners. Foucault uses the example of a prison watchtower. The prisoners can always see the tower, yet are never aware of the exact moments guards may be watching them from it. He who is subjected to a field of visibility and who knows it assumes responsibility for the constraints of power he makes in place spontaneously upon himself. He inscribes in himself the power relation in which he simultaneously plays both roles. He becomes the principle of his own subjection. Foucault explains that when individuals are left to believe they are under constant surveillance, they begin to survey themselves and each other. They play the role of the surveyor and the surveyed, becoming the principle of their own subjection. He named the psychological phenomena the unequal gaze, determining that disciplinary institutions secreted a machinery of control that functioned like a microscope of conduct. The prisoner knew they could be watched at any moment, yet never knew exactly when it took place. According to Foucault, the perfect disciplinary apparatus would make it possible for a single gaze to see everything constantly. Our relationships with our cell phones represent this unequal gaze, as we publish our lives to be scrutinized under a microscope of conduct. Our social media accounts eerily fit the perfect disciplinary apparatus. As we scroll through our accounts, we watch people's videos on Snapchat and Facebook, we read their tweets, we look at people's selfies and pictures of their meals on Instagram, and we can see what everyone is up to from the single gaze of our phones. We have grown so used to publicizing everything we do, and like the common phrase goes, if you didn't Instagram it, did you really do it? Instagram feeds are like a cyber world where we feel the increasing need to reconstruct and share our entire lives for the approval of others. Foucault said, "In discipline, it is the subjects who have to be seen. Their visibility assures the hold of power that is exercised over them. It is the fact of being constantly seen, or being able always to be seen, that maintains the disciplined individual in his subjection." Now, ironically, with our social media personalities, we are the ones who allow ourselves to be constantly seen, as we publish our own lives. Thus, according to Foucault, we would be the reason for our own subjection. Within the chapter titled Means of Correct Training, under Normalizing Judgment, Foucault explains that it is necessary to establish a clear norm, a minimal threshold, as he calls it, to foster a successful discipline. As part of what makes following the minimal threshold so successful is the value or higher rank within an institution that comes along with abiding to the norm. In creating a minimal threshold, the prisoners become docile bodies to it, assuring it is upheld and allowing it to subject, use, transform, and improve them. Foucault wrote, "The art of discipline differentiates individuals from one another in terms of the following overall rule: that the rule be made to function as a minimal threshold, as an average to be respected, or as an optimum towards which one must move. It measures in quantitative terms and hierarchizes in terms of value the abilities, the level, the nature of individuals. It introduces through this value-giving measure the constraint of a conformity that must be achieved." We are aware of the minimal thresholds and social norms we are imprisoned by. And like the prisoner who knows they are being watched but doesn't know exactly when, we know we are being watched and our posts are being scrutinized by our fellow friends, yet are unaware of exactly when others truly like or accept what we post. This unawareness leads us to survey our own posts to fit the guidelines of society's determined norms. As we consciously post and unconsciously judge the posts of others, we, again like the prisoner, aware of the watchtower, are left to survey ourselves and others, assuring that we all fit the correct behavior we were trained to fit by society. I have never liked my own picture on Instagram, nor have I ever seen someone like their own picture. And this is not because I and all the people I follow dislike what we post. This is because it has been established that liking one's own post strays from the norm of correct behavior. Foucault argued that a good discipline correlates the ability to follow the overall rule with a higher ranking, organizing those meant to follow the discipline into a hierarchy. In a sense, social media websites work in this way as well. In the constant yet selective publication of our lives, we are creating cyber personalities of the lives we want others to believe we live, based on what we believe or have been told is the correct way of life. Some of us will only post pictures with our heads arching back in a candid laugh to make ourselves seem light, easygoing, constantly happy, while we internally struggle with depression. In creating our cyber personalities, we are reconstructing ourselves to become docile bodies to these norms, the overall rules. We subject, transform, and improve our lives to align ourselves with the life society has deemed correct. All of the people on media fronts such as Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, with millions of followers are the ones who follow the norms most successfully. They are the more successful of the docile bodies, as their reconstructed lives align best with what we deem current, cool, correct, attractive, and thus they receive a literal higher ranking with more followers. In describing discipline, Foucault said, elements are identified by their place in a series. The key unit is the rank or place in a classification. Followers, likes, shares, and views are all measurable attributes to social media, which we allow to dictate our self-worth. We compare the amount of followers and likes we have to others, allowing social media and the notion of followers to dictate our rank in the classification that is social media popularity. Just like the value or higher rank given to some for following the overall rule, Foucault also argued that slight departures from correct behavior must be punished in establishing discipline. This is displayed in the cyber world every day. We judge, exclude, or alienate those who stray from correct behavior or the accepted truth, based on their Facebook statuses and opinionated social media updates. Many people put the code of correct behavior into softer terms, as we tell ourselves that we only judge those who are not politically correct. My friend made a status on Facebook the other day congratulating Donald Trump on being elected, and over 20 people, including myself, commented exclamations of distaste and disgust at her belief. As living in downtown Toronto, it is the correct behavior, or in our terms, it is politically correct and a norm to hate on Donald Trump. In doing this, we are punishing her from straying from the correct behavior or the accepted truth. We are growing so compliant to the overall rule on social media that tells us to post what is politically correct that it seems we've become docile bodies to the idea of political correctness. We feel enraged and uncomfortable at the sight of others challenging or disagreeing with the shared norm, or in this case, the post-sharing norm. In Foucault's docile bodies, he identified a good discipline as one you cannot choose to enter through contract, and has the capability to control you through its power and technology. According to Foucault, the modality of control implies uninterrupted, constant coercion. This connects to the way gender norms and roles are inescapably shoved down our throats the moment we are brought to life. It feels like wherever we turn, we are constantly separated and defined in contrast to the opposite sex. TV shows, toys, costumes, celebrities, movies, plays, art, fashion, colors, sports, ads, you name it. Girls are constantly portrayed one way, while boys are constantly portrayed another. Regardless of whether we identify with our typical gender roles, we cannot escape them. They are embedded all around us within every aspect of our culture. Hence, it's impossible to choose to enter or leave them through contract. We are being disciplined into them. Foucault wrote, "Exercise regulates the body through activity and habit." This can be applied to the way social consumer culture uses religious days as mark dates of consumerism. For many, days like Christmas, Easter, Valentine's have turned into nothing but social dates that revolve around the regulated tradition of mass consumption. In this sense, the hypothetical exercise is the practice of spending large masses of money on holidays. We are urged and pressured to buy gifts for our family and friends on Christmas, chocolates and roses for our partner on Valentine's Day, expensive chocolate and treats for our children on Easter, costumes on Halloween. The practice of consumption is regulated within us as society turns spending money for those we care about into a tradition, even a must. Not buying your 6-year-old kid a gift for Christmas while all his non-Catholic peers talk about the loads of new things they got feels like a social faux pas, and thus proves the way consumerism has been regulated within us, through habit. Foucault believed that discipline was when the purpose of exercise changes from the benefit of the individual to control. In a sense, we are no longer buying our non-Christian children gifts on Christmas because it is something we solely want to do. It is now a social obligation which controls us.